And then there's crime. Crime skyrocketing across the country. Murder rates through the roof. Carjacking rates through the roof. Year after year of Democrats demagoguing and attacking police officers. Arguing for defunding the police. Arguing for abolishing the police. Putting in place George Soros prosecutors who let violent criminals go. Now, here's some crazy rocket science. If you release violent criminals into your community, you get more violent crime. Well, let me tell you right now, the men and women of Oklahoma support the heroes of law enforcement. And then there's the crisis at our southern border. Look, representing Texas, I spend a lot of time on our southern border. A few years ago, I was down there, went out on midnight patrol with the Border Patrol. They came up to a stash house, kicked down the door. They started pulling out some really sketchy guys, big guys, tatted up. The agents are all calling over, going, "Senator, Senator, come over here." I'm going, "Ixnay on the editor say. Just call me Bob." A few months ago, I took 7 senators down to the border to see firsthand what's happening. It's always been bad, but it has never been remotely this bad. You go out on patrol, you don't have to look for people crossing illegally. Within minutes, they find you. They turn themselves into you, women, children. Border Patrol agents showed us a patch of grass where a couple of weeks earlier they'd found 2 little girls, aged 5 and 6, who had been brutally sexually assaulted by human traffickers. They had to give them emergency medical care. That is happening every single day. You sit down with Texas farmers and ranchers, they show you photograph after photograph of dead bodies they find on their farms and ranches. Pregnant women, elderly people, little kids the traffickers abandon to die in the heat. Last year we had over 100,000 fentanyl overdoses from Chinese fentanyl and other opioids. And I got to tell you, the Democrats and the corrupt corporate media could not possibly care less until 50 arrived at Martha's Vineyard. And suddenly the white-bread, lily-livered, hypocritical, socialist billionaires discovered we had a crisis. Well, it interfered with tea time. AOC tweeted out. She said, "Shout out to the people of Martha's Vineyard for demonstrating the very best of American values." So I promptly retweeted her. I said, "Look, you're exactly right. They deported everyone within 24 hours. And as bad as the domestic policy is, as bad as the economic policy is, the foreign policy has been even worse. A year ago, Joe Biden shamefully surrendered to the Taliban, abandoned Americans behind enemy lines. And when that happened, every enemy of America, they looked to Washington, they looked to the Oval Office, they took the measure of the man. And tragically, they concluded that our commander-in-chief was weak and feckless and ineffective. And today, every enemy of America is stronger and America's never been at greater jeopardy. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, Ted, you said you were going to encourage us. You really suck at this. But I told you, I've got two messages. Here's the second. Revival is coming. And I got to tell you, I believe that with all of my heart. One of the great blessings, I get to travel all across Texas, all across the country. I get to see what is going on. In American politics, it's always had a pendulum sense to it. One party gets in power, they go too far one direction, and the American people pull it back. Every time I see another idiotic policy from the White House, part of me grieves for the damage being done to the American people. But part of me quietly celebrates because it's accelerating the process of people's eyes opening up. Look, what has happened to the Democrat Party nationally is they have been radicalized. They have handed their agenda over to the crazies. Look, 5 years ago in the United States Senate, there was one open socialist, Bernie Sanders. Crazy Uncle Bernie, white hair sticking straight up. By the way, would it kill the man to use a comb? I mean, he's a socialist. He could just take somebody's. But 5 years ago, the Democrats would be like, no, we're not socialists. We're not with him. We're something different. Today, they're all socialists. Today, Bernie Sanders is the chairman of the Budget Committee, and the number one priority for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer is to pass the Bernie Sanders socialist budget. And that brings me to why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight supporting my friend and your governor, Kevin Stitt.